Have you ever paused to ask yourself why, even after working so hard, it feels like your life is not moving forward? You wake up exhausted even after a full night of sleep. Your days stay packed, yet you don't feel any real growth. You stay busy from morning to night, but when the day ends, there's a quiet sense that nothing truly changed. If this sounds familiar, understand this clearly. The issue is not a lack of time. The real issue is the absence of what Japanese philosophy calls conscious isolation and inner discipline. Here's a truth most people avoid hearing. You are operating on autopilot. You react to constant noise, chase validation, and drown in endless distractions while your mind never fully rests. Over time, your core self becomes diluted. The most dangerous part is that you don't even notice you're stuck in this cycle. That's why your effort feels wasted. That's why anxiety lingers. That's why you feel empty, even when surrounded by people. What you're about to learn may surprise you and might even make you uncomfortable. Stay with me until the end. You'll discover a simple but demanding mental practice used daily by people who genuinely transform their lives. This is not motivational hype or a self-help trend. It's a discipline refined over centuries, designed to reconnect you with who you truly are. But for it to work, you must face solitude not as punishment but as a tool for change. Here's the part few are willing to accept. Japanese philosophy challenges everything modern life teaches you. You don't need more people around you. You need more silence. You don't need external motivation. You need internal discipline. In real terms, this means stopping the habit of waiting for someone else to rescue you. It means creating a daily ritual of intentional isolation where you reconnect with yourself, away from noise, opinions, and distractions that drain your energy. This is the path Japanese masters have followed for centuries. It's also the path that can pull you out of exhaustion and stagnation. Before continuing, let me ask you something honestly. What distraction steals your peace of mind the most each day? Think about it and share your answer in the comments. When you do, you're not just engaging, you're helping spread these teachings to others who need them. If you haven't liked this video yet, take a moment to do so. That single action helps this message reach people who are searching for clarity and direction. Costs nothing, but the impact is real. And before we move forward, check whether you're already walking this path. Subscribe to the channel, because the upcoming videos are part of a complete series designed to build discipline, mental strength, and prepare you to start 2026 at a higher level. Your participation strengthens this message and allows it to reach further. Now let's focus on what truly matters. The modern morning mistake. The first error most people make happens the moment they wake up. I say this without judgment because I did it for years as well. You open your eyes and immediately reach for your phone. Before leaving bed, you're already reacting. Notifications, messages, emails, and images of other people's lives that seem better than yours. Within minutes, your mind is overloaded, restless, and tired before the day even begins. Japanese philosophy describes this as the loss of mental sovereignty. You surrender control of your mind before you take control of your day. And here's the hard truth. Anyone who starts the day reacting to the world spends their life being directed by it. You wake up in a rush, enter comparison mode, absorb mental noise, and slip into autopilot. You get things done, but without presence, intention, or real energy. By nightfall, a strange question appears. What did I do today that actually mattered? This isn't just physical fatigue. It's existential exhaustion, and it begins in the first hour of the morning. There is an ancient Japanese concept called ichigo ichi, meaning this moment occurs only once. Masters used it to train complete presence. They understood that the morning sets the tone for the entire day. That's why they practice silence, intentional movements, and conscious isolation. No rush, no reaction, only presence. Let's go deeper. The samurai followed an unwritten principle few people know today. They believed the most important battle of the day happened right after waking up, not on the battlefield. They understood that the morning defines the mental state for everything that follows. Win the mind early, and you gain an invisible advantage. This isn't about waking at dawn to run miles or meditate for hours. It's about something more grounded and practical. Japanese philosophy teaches that discipline doesn't come from forceful willpower. It comes from repetition, quiet consistency, and loyalty to small daily rituals, even when no one is watching. The morning isn't about doing more. It's about avoiding distraction and protecting the space between yourself and external chaos. The masters referred to this as shoshin, the beginner's mind, a clean state without judgment or automatic reaction. Imagine waking up and, instead of grabbing your phone, taking 3 deep breaths, standing up, drinking water, and sitting in silence for 5 minutes. Sounds simple, but that simplicity is where real change begins. You train your mind not to react automatically, but to remain sovereign. I once learned about a businessman who applied this practice. He was overwhelmed, anxious, and directionless. He began waking up just 30 minutes earlier to sit in silence. No phone, no news, only breathing. Within 3 months, his life shifted. Not because he worked more, but because he regained control of his mind. Now I'll show you how to apply this starting tomorrow. Comment below, I command my mind. Before we continue, if this message resonates with you, I've prepared a complimentary guide that expands on everything discussed here. It's called The Path of Japanese Discipline. This practical material was designed to transform an unfocused mind into one that is disciplined, steady, and resilient. It teaches daily action even when motivation fades, energy drops, or no one is watching. This method eliminates procrastination, stabilizes emotions, and builds the silent consistency that defines lasting success. It's not temporary excitement. It's mental strength that produces permanent results. Over 1 million people have already accessed this guide, and it may be taken offline soon. The link is in the description below. If it aligns with you, take advantage while it's available. Now back to the core practice. No fantasy, no mysticism. True transformation doesn't begin with major decisions. It starts with the first minute of the day. How you wake up determines your mental tone, which shapes your choices, energy, and reactions. Japanese philosophy teaches that external chaos mirrors internal disorder. That's why morning rituals focus on alignment, not motivation. Waking up is already a test. Not rushing, not chasing stimulation, not escaping silence. The body becomes aware of itself, the breath, the weight, the stillness. Silence isn't empty. It reflects what's unsettled inside. Without distraction, there's no internal bargaining. The mind must stay alert, not rushed. There is no phone, no instant pleasure. These steal something essential, the ability to choose clearly. When stimuli disappear, one uncomfortable question remains. What is the single intention that truly matters today? Not 10 tasks, not grand ambitions, just one clear direction. Japanese philosophy calls this focus on the essential, a mindset that prevents wasted energy. The ritual seems too simple, which is why most people ignore it. Yet these quiet minutes are where inner decisions are made. Before trying to conquer the world, you must master the first thought of the day. That's where the journey truly begins, without applause, without an audience. Only you and your discipline. When this ritual repeats daily, change happens slowly but powerfully, accumulating beneath the surface. Comment below, I choose silence before the world. Now let's talk about cave mode. Many people misunderstand it as escape or extreme isolation. The truth is different. Cave mode is strategic isolation. It's not retreating out of weakness, but stepping back with intelligence. Japanese philosophy honors periods of withdrawal because silence allows the mind to reorganize and identity to be rebuilt. No blade is shaped in the middle of noise. In practice, cave mode begins with simple cuts, but they are uncomfortable ones. Less social media because constant comparison takes away clarity. Fewer explanations to others because justifying plans consumes energy that should turn into action. Less shallow conversation, less outside opinion, less mental interference. In return, silence, focus, and repetition take their place, doing the basics well every day, even when no one is watching. Japanese methods have always valued consistency over intensity, because it shapes the mind calmly, without haste, but with lasting effect. During these 6 months, something interesting happens quietly. The mind slows down. That constant anxiety begins to fade. Discipline stops feeling like a daily struggle and starts to become almost natural. You stop bargaining with yourself. Decisions grow simpler and more direct. This doesn't happen because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger internally. The journey stops being about proving something and becomes about sustaining an inner truth. For 6 months, you don't try to impress anyone. You don't announce plans. You act in silence. This single idea summarizes everything. When identity changes, there is no need for explanations. After some time, people stop asking what you did and start asking what happened to you. And this transformation doesn't come from dramatic moments, but from the quiet repetition of correct choices. Now let's go deeper because this strategic isolation carries a specific emotional cost. This is exactly where most people quit, without realizing what is about to change inside their own mind. Comment below. I chose silence to rebuild myself. The discomfort that separates ordinary men from strong men. There is a moment in this process when cave mode reveals something few are ready to face. It isn't motivation. It isn't clarity. It isn't strength. It is discomfort. A quiet discomfort, without an audience, that appears when the noise disappears and only you remain. Loneliness shows up first, not physical loneliness, but the sense of having no one to share the process with because almost no one would understand your choices. And deep down, you realize you don't want to be understood right now. Then doubt follows. The mind starts testing limits, questioning decisions, creating subtle escape stories. Does this really make sense? Am I going too far? This is an old defense mechanism of the mind, searching for comfort. Japanese philosophy has always treated this moment as a gateway. If you retreat, you return to old patterns. If you stay, something begins to reorganize internally. Here, a hidden truth becomes clear. Discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is proof that you have stepped beyond mediocrity. The urge to quit appears not because the path is wrong, but because it is working. Real change is rarely comfortable. Behind the scenes, what sustains this process is an emotion. It's decision. Same time. Same ritual. No internal negotiation. Discipline stops being a feeling and becomes a daily choice, almost automatic. Japanese traditions reinforce this conscious repetition because it builds emotional stability even in uncertainty. At this stage, you no longer look for approval. You look for alignment between who you decided to become and what you do each day. This shifts mentality at a deep level. The impact is not immediate, but it accumulates. Something begins to solidify inside, even if nothing has changed yet on the outside. Now let's go deeper again because there is an invisible result that appears when you pass through discomfort without negotiating with yourself, and it completely changes how you see yourself. Comment below. I don't negotiate with my discipline. The invisible result no one can copy. After moving through silence, isolation, and discomfort, something begins to appear quietly. It isn't dramatic. It isn't cinematic. It's a deep internal adjustment that only those who experience it can recognize. Focus becomes sharper, not because you push harder, but because the mind learns to ignore what doesn't matter. Decisions that once felt confusing become clear. Where there was noise, there is now direction. Emotions also shift. They don't disappear, but they stabilize. Japanese philosophy has always taught that self-control is not repression. It is mastery. You feel, but you don't react impulsively. You observe, choose, and act. This balance quietly changes how you position yourself in the world. People sense something different, even if they can't explain it. A natural respect emerges, not demanded, not forced, simply felt. Behind this transformation, the greatest gain is true self-control. Not the kind found in slogans, but the kind that supports hard decisions when no one is watching. Ancient Japanese practices valued this unseen strength because it doesn't rely on validation. True power is not being noticed. It is not needing to be noticed. At this point, you no longer feel the urge to prove anything. The journey stops being external and becomes internal. This is the part no one can copy because it cannot be learned by observation. It is built only through experience. It is a mentality formed by silent repetition, by discipline maintained even on empty days. And when this settles, you begin to realize the transformation isn't finished. It opens space for something deeper, something that reshapes your relationship with the world and with yourself. Now let's go deeper one last time, because there is a final principle, almost forgotten, that ties everything together and explains why so few sustain this path. The silence that defines who you become. There is a truth that runs through all of Japanese philosophy and is rarely stated directly. Anyone who cannot stand being alone with themselves spends their life being shaped by the noise of others. Opinions, expectations, comparisons, distractions. These quietly guide decisions without awareness. Over time, a person stops choosing and starts reacting. When they finally notice, they are living a life they did not consciously build. Cave mode appears as a breaking point in this process, not as escape but as a return to what is essential. Japanese traditions have always valued withdrawal as refinement. Just as a blade needs fire and silence to take form, the mind needs space to align. In this strategic isolation, mentality changes. You begin to notice how much influence you absorbed without realizing it. How many choices came from the environment instead of conviction. Being alone with yourself isn't comfortable. It exposes insecurities, contradictions, unresolved desires, but it also reveals strength. It shows who you are when you are not performing for anyone. This process directly affects how you see the world and how the world begins to see you. Less need for approval, more clarity, more responsibility for your own path. Transformation happens quietly, far from recognition. Enter cave mode now or continue being shaped by the world. This isn't a threat, it's a statement, because a choice is always being made, even when you believe you are not choosing. The sooner that choice becomes conscious, the more control you gain over your own story. There is one final detail, almost invisible, that determines whether this change lasts or becomes just another forgotten attempt. If you reach this point, something here resonated not as temporary motivation, but as real reflection that stays with you. If this type of content helps you think more clearly, organize yourself internally, and make better decisions, then it's worth continuing together. Subscribing to the channel is simply a way to receive this content without excess, without noise, only what matters. If you stayed until the end, leave a comment saying, "I entered cave mode and I will return here every day." I read them, and this builds a real connection among people with the same mindset. If this video added value, consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the description. It directly supports the channel and keeps this content alive. Also, leave a like. It helps more than you think and keeps this conversation moving. In the pinned comment, there's an ebook that deepens everything discussed here with clearer explanations and practical daily application. Take a calm look at it later. And before you leave, there's a video on the side that complements this topic. Click and continue with me.